John Papsidera, welcome back inside the Crazy Ant Farm, my friend. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, man? Good to see you guys.
Oh, good to see you too, man.
Yeah, and man, I cannot tell you
Thank
how
you.
many things we keep watching and your name keeps popping up. We're like, oh my goodness, there he is again.
It's like the brilliant stuff. Here's the
There
thing,
he
though.
is again. Just won't go away.
Here's the thing, though. We're starting to line them up. We're like, if it's a brilliant show, we're like, it's got to be John because
for
I
real.
mean, the casts are just unreal. I'm telling you. Thank you so much
Very
for coming
kind
back
of
on.
you. Thank you.
No, thank you. Honestly, one of our favorite interviews of all time. We just had an absolute blast with you last time. The listeners loved it. It's one of our most listened to interviews of all time. They absolutely just had a blast. So they're gonna love this one. And I want to just dive right
Appreciate
in,
it.
man, because like Logan said,
Yeah, go,
we have
man.
been
I'm
watching
ready.
some
I'm
stuff.
ready.
So not only Yellowstone, but 1883, and I gotta ask before we even jump into those, are you gonna do 1932 also? Are you doing that one as well?
We are doing that one as well.
Oh my goodness! All right, and then after we get through that, because that's going to be just mind blowing. The Offer,
Yeah.
holy cow! The Offer, and do we touch Oppenheimer? Of course, we touch Oppenheimer because it's like every A-lister in Hollywood is in this thing. I mean, I don't know, Logan, where do you even want to start?
I think we should pick the conversation back up where we left off the last time. But the last time we talked to you, we had not watched Yellowstone yet.
Yeah.
And we literally just binge watched this thing throughout like all 4 seasons because we were very much behind. And man, that's literally, we dropped everything else. That is literally the only thing we watched. I think you just cast this so perfectly.
Oh my
the
gosh.
chemistry between everybody was so spot on. Even the supporting characters like Damian Richards, he was like an uncut gem, I feel like. So there's just so many different ones. So let's start at the very beginning. What was the process of trying to assemble this family?
Yeah, because was it like Costner and then everything built around Costner, or was it different than
Yeah,
that?
it was. Yeah, Taylor's been very kind to me. He is a good dude and a friend and somebody that I admire. So I had a head start on some level in that, Taylor's got great taste. He knows a lot of actors, his writing speaks for itself, but he's got a great barometer and a great feel for actors, and they feel the same thing about Taylor. Not only being an actor, but having been an acting coach and a lot of stuff, he has his own sensibilities about it. So we would have discussions, but yeah, it started with Kevin. Kevin was already attached when I started, when I talked to those guys about it. And, it was a process of developing what those pieces were going to be. Taylor had strong inclinations about Luke. He was friends with Cole. He had big pieces in his mind. Really the big question on some level was who was going to be Beth when I started. And so, that was a fast and furious kind of sprint to find out. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, we literally sent the script to 5 or 6 women that we had cut the list down to. And Taylor was like, I want to know in 24 hours if they're interested or not.
Wow.
And agents love me.
Right?
But Kelly, God love her, read and raised her hand and had an amazing meeting with Taylor, and we were off to the races.
Oh my gosh!
It's funny because other girls then came back around and said, "Oh, well, I would meet." And I said, "Well, okay, yeah, the clock expired, the stopwatch expired." That was a huge piece of it. And then it was about trying to fill out the family and look for, Casey's son and, look for Jimmy and, a lot of those pieces started to fall in after we, kind of got started. And, and the other thing is it's really so funny. I have to say it's one of the only shows that I can think of that the lifestyle has now found the actors.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Oh.
I mean, you know, and maybe that's not fair because, you know, who's going to go off and be a superhero in the world of, you know, Gotham City? But on the other hand, you know, so many of these guys and women have, you know, the actors have moved to Montana, have become riders, have, you know, horse riders. Like they've really adopted the culture. And, you know, that's a huge win, I think, just in Taylor's mind, in all of our minds, you know, that, you know, the American West is open again.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's funny that you said that it started with Kelly, because that chemistry with Kelly, not only with Kevin but with Cole, is just unbelievable. I think if it was anybody but her, it wouldn't have worked. I mean, she's so perfect.
It's hard to picture anybody else in it now.
Yeah,
it really is,
for
you know?
sure.
You know, the last time I talked to you guys, I happened to be in Sundance. I'm literally living the life of an 18-wheel truck driver. I'm now in my house in Nashville, and it is literally the only currency I have here. They could care less about who else I work with, what other movies I work with. It begins and ends with Yellowstone,
Right.
1883, and you know, the security guards at the gate are like, "Oh yeah, I know. Oh yeah, Yellowstone, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So you know, it is a phenomenon, and I'm happy for, you know, Taylor and David Glasser and, you know, Paramount, Keith Cox, all those guys that, you know, put it together, John Linson, and so I'm thrilled for them, and I'm thrilled for the actors. You know, I mean, we're finally seeing what Cole has always been capable of doing.
Yes.
And, you know, to see him kind of land in the role of Rip and become a sex idol. Is unbelievable.
Yeah, but and if not the sex idol, right? Like, I feel like that's so true for women. But if you're the guy, you want to be Rip,
Right.
I just want to. If I ever get mad at somebody, I just want to say, "We're going to the train station." I just want to tell somebody we're going to the train station.
It's so funny.
It's pretty great, and you know, and I do think Kevin is the glue that holds all of that together.
For sure.
You know, I mean, people, you know, I mean, he's a movie star. You know, he's a iconic actor, and so
And a legit
you know,
cowboy.
We're all thrilled. Yeah. You know.
I love it though. I love it. I
love.
think specifically for me, when I think about, you know, Kelly and Cole, I think Pride and Prejudice, which complete opposite type of character.
Opposite,
It's so crazy to like envision.
That's good,
And then I think Dazed and Confused, you know, the teenage kid who's like trying to find the kids on the street to give him that freshman like orientation. Oh, it's so funny.
Hysterical.
What like when you're going through your process, when you're thinking about specific characters to pick, like what movies do you refer back to some of these people that make you think, oh, this is the right person for this role?
You know, it's interesting because, you know, we'll talk in grand schemes, but I think it's bits and pieces of actors.
Yeah.
You know? It's a snippet from something. I mean, it's funny because we talk a lot about old cowboys.
Right.
And, you know, there are so few left.
That's true.
I mean, you really start to go down that road and look into film history when they made Westerns and now who's still around. It's so sad, you know, because it's, you know, literally a dying breed. And so, so it's hard to compare those things, you know. I mean, everybody, you know, for the most part, that has to ride has to go to cowboy camp every year. And, you know, and people love going to cowboy camp. And so, you know, it starts there on some level, but, you know, I mean, Taylor will say, like, I want dudes that, you know, I want actors that can, you know, ride a fucking horse.
Right.
Really ride a horse, you know what I mean? Not, oh yeah, I can ride, and then you show up and you're afraid to get on a saddle.
Right.
So that, you know, that blending of the real actors and the real horsemen like Forey Smith and guys like that in the show, to the newcomers, Jefferson White, and, you know, all these guys that did not ride horses and had to learn it and embrace it. It's been a balancing act, but it's really kind of a fun thing to do.
Sure.
Oh, for sure.
And we had Denham Richards on. We interviewed Denham Richards a while back, and he tells a very similar story about how fun cowboy camp was and how maybe not so fun for some cowboy camp was. So it's funny that you brought that up. Yeah.
And I feel like
it's interesting. But Denham actually could ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an actual cowboy, so he could actually do it. But a lot of them, and even the women, had to, even the actresses like Eden Brolin and Hassie Harrison, they all had to kind of embrace that lifestyle. And it's actually been a really cool, progression to watch.
Sure.
And be part of.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, I think it starts at the top. I mean, Taylor is an actual cowboy. Like when I knew the name, but I didn't know the name to the face until, I did more research. And I'm like, that's the guy from the Sixes. That's the guy from Texas. Like, he's a badass. Like, it's so crazy.
I mean, literally the 4 Sixes.
Yeah. How happy were you when you got Little Joe's daughter? You didn't get Little Joe, right? But we got his daughter, so
We got his daughter. Yeah. It's funny that I love those kind of like little inside things.
Absolutely.
And if you do too much of it, it can become kitschy and weird. And it's so subverted.
Sure.
In people's daily routine, but Jen Landon's fantastic, and we're thrilled that she's on the show, and she's been a trooper.
Oh, I love that. And then transitioning into the spinoff with 1883, Tim and Faith. I mean, they knock it completely out of the park. And was that a package deal, or did you guys approach one of them first?
Pretty much a package deal. Yeah. I mean, I think if Tim was going to go off, they were going to go off together.
Right.
And so it was a godsend that they were there, and that was kind of the glue that started that. Sam, we were thrilled to. I was actually quite worried about Sam, being in the middle of the West,
right,
through winter, on a horse, 7 hours a day or 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And God love him, he went out and started riding and, getting ready again. And, it's just, he's one of the true cowboys left.
Yeah,
he is.
So to be able to, put him on a horse again and have him be so brilliant in the show was really a thrill,
Absolutely.
And it was different. This process was different. Taylor had an idea that, look, all these people, it was much more like doing a theatrical production. All these people are going to be on the wagon train, period. So there was no like guest stars and leaving and coming. Well, that's not true. Tom Hanks and Billy Bob.
They
were in the wagon train the entire time. But, everybody else, someday you're an extra, the next day you're a featured player.
Right.
So, that was also a challenge to get, people to buy into that.
Sure.
And think, oh, I'm going to go be on a wagon, in the middle of nowhere for 5 months. And again, I have to say, like LaMonica Garrett, such a
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Right? The chemistry that him and Sam had, and the way LaMonica was able to pull out, putting him in his place when he needed to put him in his place. That was like brilliant casting, because you're like, who's a guy that can put Sam Elliott in his place?
Shoot. And Taylor really fought for LaMonica. He really did. He stuck to his guns, and he was like, look, he's John Wayne is who he is.
Oh yeah.
And LaMonica, did that. And it's so funny. I got one of the sweetest emails ever from LaMonica, just saying that about adopting a lifestyle and being on a horse, and and the opportunity that it gave to him was life changing. And that's just it's just amazing. I don't think of what I do is that life-changing to a lot of people. I think other people, give me more credit for that than I really believe. But when you hear it in real time, an actor and a human being saying, thank you for this. It's an experience I'll live with forever. And it takes your breath away a little bit. It is really humbling. and yeah, I was, I said to Taylor at one point, 1883 is art.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And I think that's really what he wanted it to be, and these the anthology, that's our hope for all of them.
Sure.
Yeah, to be honest.
So we have to ask, because we've heard this story and we want to know, one, was it true? And one, did you have any kind of like, did you make her audition anyway? Or was it just, this is the girl, like you said, but sometimes Taylor does, Isabel May. We've heard that she first did Mayor of Kingstown and did not do so well, maybe bombed the audition, but Taylor liked her and was like, hey, we might have this role for you in something else. Is that true?
Yeah, that's totally true. And I don't know that she bombed it. I think he felt like it was a tough decision.
Right.
And he was totally impressed. In fact, I got an email from Taylor just saying, and maybe he copied me on it, I don't remember, to Isabel, but saying she doesn't ever have to audition for me again. She's already proved herself in the Mayor of Kingstown stuff. And I want her to do 1883.
Nice.
So yeah, it was kind of like, it's a surprise to Isabel and a surprise to me.
But boy, it worked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah, she was fantastic.
And one of those ones that's totally believable too, because you think, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, that looks like their daughter, like totally.
Yeah,
I mean,
No, it's true. It really, and that's, that's an intangible that Taylor brings to the table. You know what I mean? His instinct about those things, I haven't seen it go wrong yet.
Yeah.
Very excited for everything happening in the future, especially with season 5 about to come out of Yellowstone, and then maybe a season 2 of 1883. There's like that if, ands, or buts. Like we don't know.
1932.
1932. You got so much happening.
I can't believe you, my main man, Star Wars, has not brought up the fact that 1932 is Mr. Harrison Ford. I mean,
I know.
what?
I know. That is absolutely crazy. And we're trying to envision too, like, who are these family members? Like, we're trying to map out like their ages and like different things.
Yeah.
So we're excited to hear more news about that. Obviously not right now. We're not putting you on the spot.
I don't know anything.
Right.
I've yet to read a
He's like, I just got people.
Yeah. Taylor is furiously writing now, as well as, Yellowstone and everything else, and Lioness, and,
just
which
like,
we're doing as well. No. It's going to be, it's not the metaverse, it's the Taylorverse.
It really is. We talked about how does this guy sleep? Because he literally writes everything that he does. Like, I don't understand.
I don't think he sleeps a lot.
No. Now, Lioness, slap me down if I'm totally wrong on that one. Is that the one with Jill Wagner also?
Jill Wagner and Jill, and I think, Taylor talked about the idea, and he ran with it. It is Zoe Saldana and Nicole, and we're just in the process of putting other pieces together. So it's really exciting. It's a really accessible, smart, female-driven, female-centric, television show, and the scripts have been phenomenal. So I'm really excited about it.
Woo!
I love that.
Gets you fired up.
Every single project we talk about you, we get so excited about. Which one were you going to next?
I was going to say, so let's jump from the ranch to the studio and the mob, right? Let's go to the offer, because, oh my gosh, I am just mind blown at the cast on this thing.
Yes.
You
can't pick a favorite because they're all just like knocking it out of the park.
Good.
I say that, but
I think so. I'm really proud of that cast. I'm really, it was a long haul. I mean, we worked on that probably almost a year.
Wow.
And it was a huge. It's humbling to think, oh, I'm going to do something related to the Godfather.
Right.
It's one thing when they, when I'm like, oh yeah, I can reinvent Charlie's Angels, or oh yeah, I can redo Dumb and Dumber. You know what I mean? Like those things, I just look at and kind of go, okay. That was me being, bold. But really, it's humbling when you start to talk about, the Godfather and even touching that. and it was such a passion piece for everybody involved, for Paramount, for the executives, for Al Ruddy, for Dexter, for Nikki Toscano, who I adore, like, Michael Tolkien. All those people really, carried that weight and on their shoulders, but walked with, like on eggshells.
Sure.
So, and also, something I wanted to really try and do is just not be The Sopranos.
Yes.
Which is tough.
For sure.
You got to sidestep that a bit, just because you don't want it like, oh yeah, there's so-and-so, and to try and recreate it and make it fresh and make it feel like you haven't seen these people do that before, was a real challenge. And Jennifer Cram, who I've worked with forever, God love her, came back to help me on The Offer. And so I'm really grateful for that. And I think we are proud of what we did.
Well, I got to tell you, I said it's so hard to pick a favorite, but I have a favorite, and it's because I'm a big history buff of the studio system and of Hollywood and the whole history of it and everything. And so Robert Evans has always been that. Okay. And Matthew Good is just freaking phenomenal as Robert. Brilliant. It's like he's been reincarnated and is like right there, and it's like he's just absolutely mind-blowing every week. I'm just like, oh my gosh. I mean,
it is really phenomenal. It speaks to Matthew's depth of talent and creativity. Because obviously, Matthew was not, that happened close to when we actually started. And so I was kind of blown away. I mean, he did not have months to work on it.
Wow.
And so I was kind of blown away even seeing it. Like, not only did he just do and I actually worked with Bob Evans once on a movie called Jade.
Oh, wow.
And I love the Bob Evans. Bob would sit in the corner with a straw hat, Panama hat on his head, and no shoes and no socks and slippers. And, hide behind the kind of the shadow of the brim of the hat. It was a phenomenal piece of history, of Hollywood history. But Matthew made it his own. It wasn't just, you know what I mean? It doesn't sound exactly like Bob. It doesn't look exactly like Bob, but it is in the spirit of him.
Yes.
And that, I think, is really a huge coup for Matthew to have pulled off seamlessly,
Totally agree.
Completely agree. And with me being on the creative side of things, always thinking about different ways to, move things around on a film set, different creative actors to bring in. I love Francis Ford Coppola. Dan, I forget his last name.
Folger, right?
Yeah, Folger. He's so brilliant. He's such an onion too, because you think about the Goldbergs are like Fantastic Beasts, but this, oh my goodness, it brought a whole new level to his chops. I feel like it's just, I love everything they're doing. In the latest episode where they all like unintentionally kind of sit down at the table and they start reenacting acting like the family. Oh my,
that scene
so brilliant. And Justin Chambers as Marlon Brando.
Holy shit, Justin Chambers as Marlon Brando.
I mean, that was a total surprise.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, for anybody to even touch Brando, and have reminded me actually a lot of when I was doing Dark Knight or even Batman Begins, actors being afraid to step into those huge shoes.
Right.
I mean, you talk about Brando, who wants to touch that? You know what I mean? And I just felt again, Justin made it his own in a certain way. It wasn't just an impersonation.
No.
It wasn't just, the older version of Brando, which a lot of guys read and kind of did it as, he's not the guy that's, Colonel Kurtzman. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not, Apocalypse Now Brando. He is, younger and more vital. And, I just think Justin's, when I saw the tape, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And Yeah, he
Kind of
did
like
a
Francis
really-
when he saw Marlon, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that scene was brilliant. Like, like when he's got the the 8mm, and he's like, and he's
yeah.
when you see him, that view in the mirror,
Yeah.
and you just like, that is Brando. Like, it's just
Yeah.
so good. So
Yeah, it's fascinating. One other thing about Fogler, Fogler also read for Mario Puzo.
Oh,
It was
wow.
almost a toss-up. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell do we do? Like, which one is better? Because he was great at both. But yeah, I mean, I love what he did with Francis,
Oh,
and it's been a real, it's a real thrill. I'm happy for all those guys.
and you know how great the casting is when we haven't even mentioned Miles yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
Miles Teller long has been one of our favorite actors. I mean, this guy is phenomenal in everything he's touched and been in. And so when you got to go that deep before you even bring up Miles, you struck gold with the cast.
It's really true. And, and I look at that and I go, Miles is phenomenal. And Juno Temple's phenomenal. And
yeah.
I love what Giovanni did. Yeah, I read some review where it was like, balking at it. I'm like, what are they talking about?
Right?
I
Exactly.
thought Bonnie was phenomenal as
Oh, yeah.
Columbo. Again, not doing an impersonation, creating his own kind of
Right.
version
Exactly.
of that. So I don't know, Colin Hanks and, his thrilled Jake Cannavale and, it kind of just goes, on and on. Nora Azenender, I thought was
Just
Goodness
freaking
gracious.
fantastic.
phenomenal. And yeah. So anyway, I'm really proud of that. And I'm really,
You
it
should
was
be.
a long time coming, but I was really thrilled with how.
And
it
Lou
turned
Ferrigno.
out.
Let's not forget Lou.
Yes.
Let's not forget Lou.
You can't forget the Hulk, man.
I was not able to go to the premiere, but I did hear Lou showed up in a sparkle, like a sequin jacket.
Nice.
Oh my
Nice.
goodness.
Come on. How do you not love that?
I love it so much. It's such a special project too, because I feel like at the beginning, what we're learning now that a lot of people didn't think it was going to get made. There was so many obstacles,
Right.
and especially with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
Frank Sinatra situation. But then
Yeah,
after it got made, it's arguably one of the best movies of all time, if not the best film of all
Yeah.
time. So it's just such a special thing, I feel like, for people to get to envision how this whole process got started.
And the full
And-
circle. Like, because
Yeah,
you
and it
said,
came on the 50th anniversary. of it.
Yes,
I mean,
right.
yes.
all those things just are crazy.
Right. And I
Um,
love what you said about how you worked so hard and everybody was working so hard to not make it The Sopranos.
Yes.
But The
Yeah.
Sopranos worked really hard to not make it The Godfather.
Yes.
Right? So the
That's
full
exactly
circle
right.
and
It
so,
is full circle.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
beautiful. Okay, we got to
it's
talk
weird,
about it.
Even little gems like Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams, I put in a movie that Larry Clark did, I don't know, 20 some odd years ago. And Brandon's a really successful realtor now in LA. And I was thinking about who can play Gianni Russo. So many guys read, and I said to Jen, it's Brandon Williams. And she was like, what? And I was like, it's Anyway, long story short, Brandon read, they fucking loved him. And, he's not even acting anymore. And he came and did it. And, so there's a lot of those special things for me too,
That-
with, hidden in that cast.
Oh, for sure.
For sure, man. I mean, we can't, like, because of Zoom, we could talk to you literally.
We're out of time, aren't we?
We're
Okay.
getting
Almost.
there, but listen, we could, like.
We got to do Oppenheimer, though, real quick.
I mean, we could talk about Oppenheimer when it comes out. That would be another
Okay,
great way
all right,
to
all right,
have you
all right.
back
Yeah, we
on.
can do that. Sure.
Yeah,
we
but-
can do that.
It's so funny with Oppenheimer, just real quick, because literally, we do the industry news section, right? And like every week we're dropping more names of who's been cast in this film. We can't wait to talk to you about that.
Yes.
I was doing with friends that I've known for a long time, producers, writers, showrunners, this Tim Burton show for Netflix called Wednesday.
Yes.
And which is Wednesday Addams.
Mhm.
And they were in Bucharest, shooting, and they would text me daily, like, oh, let me guess, who are you hiring today? Like, of like, are you kidding me? There's
Right.
somebody else that you're hiring.
That's right.
So, I mean, look, Chris, felt like, this story and the importance of it deserved the gravitas of a cast that brings, you know, that feeling of how
Yes.
important these people were of that era. Even though we don't even know their names,
Exactly.
you know, most of them, you know, that they shouldn't just be lightly portrayed.
Right.
That
Agreed.
he wanted people of substance that mirrored how important they were in that world and in our lifetime. And so we worked really hard. I have to say, it's one of the most difficult Nolan films that we've done.
Oh, wow.
Because trying to make those deals with that many actors,
I can imagine.
was really a challenge. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. I haven't seen anything. They just wrapped.
Yes, and so many like different things that we will be able to talk about, because the biggest thing for me that I definitely know we don't have enough time for is this being the first film away from his used to be home Warner Brothers, and how I feel like
yeah.
he's proving a point, and I'm so excited to see it. I feel like it's going to be an amazing thing. But thank you so
Lips are
much.
sealed.
Yeah.
Lips are sealed.
Lips are sealed. I love it. I love it.
Saying a word. Yeah.
But listen, thank you so
it's
much.
really good to see you guys
Yes.
again. Thank you for inviting me. I
Always.
appreciate it. I get a kick out of you guys. And thank you for the interest.
Of
Well,
course,
thank
no
you.
problem. We also just finished our film and submitted it to Amazon Prime. So when that is up, we will just
Fantastic.
send you a free copy and let you watch it.
Yeah. Will you? I'd love to see that. That's
Yes,
amazing.
absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Of course.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Well, listen, take care, and we will see you next time.